Now it's time for the head. Take your solid color, whatever color you have that's solid, push it through again. Tie that little helpful knot if you need to. And we're going to do the same thing for the head that we did for the waist and for the shirt. Now, if I go under over here, that's going to do the same thing as my last one. So I'm going to start on this side with my under over so that I don't have to get into a new pattern. See how I'm doing the opposite of what I just did. I'm going to leave a little bit hanging off the edge. And I'm going to continue weaving. This is exactly the same process we have been doing the entire time. Okay? The exact same process. Now, you might be asking, why is the head not going to be round, Miss Lyric? Well, if we try to weave a circle, we're going to leave some of these open. And like I told you, this was like very mathematical. You want to think about a grid and grid paper, graph paper. You can't really draw a perfect circle on graph paper without breaking some of the blocks, and you can't really do that with weaving. So we have to think very geometric, rectangles, squares. So keep weaving until there's no more yarn left for the head. The head is not going to use a tabby weave like we've been doing, under, over, under, over. It's going to use something called the Rya weave, R-Y-A. And the Rya weave, so I believe you should have 12 threads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. One of these is not going to be involved in the weaving, so put it over to the side. It's going to trap the hair at the end. The needle we do not need anymore, or at least for right now. You take one piece of Rya, or one piece of thread, and the Rya weave is a lot like latch hook. Now, you might be like, I don't want my hair to come all the way down to my feet. Trust me, you want to weave this with long strings. You can cut them later. You can give your weaving buddy a haircut later. We will also do the arms later. So we're going to use these two on the edge and these two on the edge. So we're going to lay it down on top of those last two, and then they're going to go around the warp threads and through the middle. Okay, so think about giving these two warp threads a big hug. They're going to go around and through the middle, around, under the warp thread, and through the middle. Please study that. Around the top. See? Went under and through the middle. I'm going to hold these even, and then I'm going to pull this down. All right? The Rya weave. I'm going to do it over here on this side too. Just these two warp threads around the edge, up through the middle, around the edge, up through the middle. Simply taking it around it and tying a knot is not weaving. And if you do that, you will not get credit for understanding the Rya weave. So now we're going to do two here. We're going to do one on this one and one on this one. So how many hairs, how many hairs do we have starting off on the first row? 4. So always around the edge of the warp threads and through the middle. Around the edge of the warp thread and through the middle. Pull down. Now, don't pull down too far or else your head's going to smush down. Okay. The next row we want to trap. We could just keep doing 4 and 4 and 4, but that's not what I want you to think of a pyramid. So we're going to ignore the ones on the end. Sorry guys, y'all don't get involved in this next row. And if we ignore these, Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 warp threads to use. So how many pieces of hair? 6 divided by 2. 3. So we're going to have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. And you'll notice that they go in between the existing rows that we just made. See how that one now goes in between those two. This one goes in between these two pieces of hair. So now you have a piece of hair in between the other two. Pause this, go back, rewind it, watch it as many times as you need to until it clicks and it makes sense. If you do one wrong, take it out, do it again. That's the great thing about weaving. It's real easy to erase and it leaves no marks. Now for the next row, we want to do 4. Again, so back to what we just did. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4, then 3, then 4. So it's a pattern. 4, then 3, and then 4. And you'll notice I have a lot of hair, number 1. And then also you have 1 thread left. That's going to hold everything together. The thread is that last thread is the last thing that we weave. And it goes across the top just the way we've been weaving everything else. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Leave a tail, under, over, under, over, under, over. Under, over, under, over, under, over. Always under, over. Smush it down a little bit, trap all that in there. And you're going to keep going until you don't have any more hair yarn left. This one, you can weave it all the way until the end. Like literally all the way until the end. Okay? There's your Weaving Buddies hair. Okay, and your arms.